Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Chris Mountner. I'm the social media producer for PennLive.com and PA Media Group. And we're here in Harrisburg, but very shortly we hope to be talking with Dave Samuhel of AccuWeather up in State College. And we're going to be talking about the short-term forecast, long-term forecast, and all that kind of crazy stuff in between. If you have a question for him, please make sure that you post it in the comments section. If you want to know about if we're going to get a white Christmas, what kind of weather we'll be seeing soon. Right now I'm just waiting for Dave to join us. We did a little test run earlier, so we shouldn't have a problem, but we will see what we can see. And there he is. I'm going to have him join us now. And hello, how are you doing?
Hey, hi everyone.
I'm joined by Dave Samuhel of AccuWeather. Dave, can you tell folks a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and what your job title is?
Okay, I am a senior meteorologist for AccuWeather.com. We're in State College, Pennsylvania. I'm reporting from one of our radio booths here. I've been casting here for about 16 years, so pretty experienced with Pennsylvania weather, and I know how crazy it can be.
Well, let's start with the short-term forecast. We just had our first snow of the season in central Pennsylvania over the weekend. Is that out of the ordinary? It seems like it's been a while since we've had a snow, like a lasting snow that stuck to the ground that recent. Usually it seems like the snow's been coming later in like February or January.
Yeah, it's more likely to have snow later in the winter season. It's not terribly unusual. I believe our first snow is right around December 1st on average when you look back through all our snow events through the year. So snow certainly more likely in January and February, but not uncommon to have it that early. It's just the last few Decembers have been really warm and mostly just rainy. So that was a bit of a change.
Well, what's the short-term forecast for this week? I'm looking at some of the reports we're getting. It says it's going to be really cold and more snow coming. Is that accurate? What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, it does look that way. I don't see any big storms coming, but most of the state will really be in a chill. We have an Arctic system coming through the area tomorrow, and we're going to feel some nasty weather. So tomorrow won't be bad temperature-wise. We'll have temperatures reaching near 40, but the wind will really kick in tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. It'll probably feel like it's in the single digits. Harrisburg specifically Wednesday morning. And we could even have some lake effect snow showers in the area. Obviously pretty rare to get those into south central Pennsylvania, but could very well happen later Tuesday and Wednesday.
But those will just be showers, nothing necessarily measurable?
Probably not, but I can't rule out accumulation. The temperatures will be diving well below freezing, so we could have some issues. Otherwise, there's going to be some light snow tomorrow morning, mainly north of Harrisburg. I think it's mostly near I-80 where we'll have a dusting to an inch. Northern PA, different story. There'll be a few inches, and it might not stop snowing in northern Pennsylvania until next week. It looks like a very snowy pattern.
Really? Okay. Well, extending on from this week? What's the forecast so far for Christmas and the holidays? I'm seeing some reports. We have a story up now saying that there's a chance we might get a white Christmas this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're looking at the weather pattern, obviously quite cold right now, and it will stay cold through the weekend. There's signs that it will warm up next week, so the week leading up into the Christmas weekend. But, how long does it warm up? It doesn't look like very long, and we're probably going to turn cold again right around Christmas. So there's some signs that there could be a storm on Christmas, but is it a storm that tracks to our north or our south? Tough to say. Obviously means everything. You want a storm to our south to get a white Christmas, but across the state, the further west and north you are, the better chance you will have at a white Christmas. So we'll see. Even next week, there are some signs we could have another storm running up the coast. So we could see a snowfall across much of the state next week, and that could linger in the ground even if we start to moderate leading up to Christmas. But going beyond Christmas, it looks like there will be another blast of very cold air as we head towards the new year. It's a cold pattern. So overall, a cold pattern with brief warm-ups as we head through the rest of December.
Okay. Well, what are the general odds of us getting something like a white Christmas in general? It doesn't, like I said, it seems generally in December seems to be a little warmer, tends to be a little less snowy. So Is it standard or the average at all for that kind of for us to kind of go around the Christmas holidays?
Yeah, in Harrisburg towards Philadelphia, it's pretty rare. I'd say it's about 1 in 4. Towards Philadelphia, maybe even less than that, more like a 10-15% chance for a white Christmas during any given year. Varies across the state, though. So while it's not very likely across the southeastern quarter of the state, it is very likely in the Northwest. December is the snowiest month of the year in Erie, Pennsylvania, simply because of lake effect snow. So those folks usually get a white Christmas, and we are looking at 1 to 2 feet of snow coming into Northwest Pennsylvania this week. So even if it doesn't snow anymore, that'll likely be on the ground through next week. So not tough to say, I guess. If anything, the chances are a little higher than an average December for a white Christmas anywhere in the state.
Well, what about the Pittsburgh area? I know some of our followers and Facebook Live people are live in the Pittsburgh region. Are they expecting more snow out that way, down the southwestern area?
Yeah, I think there will be a little more snow out there over the next few days. So we'll probably see 3 or 4 inches in Pittsburgh through Thursday and Friday. So that'll obviously put a bit of a snow cover on the ground. Pittsburgh is notorious for quick warm-ups ahead of storm systems. So there could be bad timing where we melt off the snow leading right up to Christmas, but that kind of detail is uncertain at this time. But in Pittsburgh, I'd say the chances are probably maybe a little bit north of 50-50 for a white Christmas. And by the way, a white Christmas is defined as at least an inch of snow on the ground, so a little coating doesn't count.
Well, it's good to know there's a rule. I'm glad to know there's an established rule for what constitutes that. Let's look a little further out, talk about the kind of winter in general, and looking into 2018. I know that's far down the pike and that kind of thing, but we've run a couple stories on various predictions, some of which contradict each other. I've seen one story, some people saying, I think Farmer's Almanac saying it's going to be a very snowy winter in general. We're going to get more snow, maybe even more snowstorms this year. Or versus like, no, it's going to be warmer. We're not going to see as much accumulation as other people are predicting. What are you guys at AccuWeather thinking? Which way do you think this winter is going to trend?
Well, it's very certain that it will be colder than the last 2 winters, which were quite mild. So that's not saying much. We had some very mild winters. Obviously, 2 winters ago, we had that huge snowstorm across the southern half of the state. So it takes one snowstorm in the southern areas to really, skew things. But overall, much colder than last winter. We're still expecting a difference from north to south across the state. So I think our normal difference we see will be exacerbated this year. In a La Nina winter, many times you struggle to get snow, Philadelphia and towards Lancaster areas, but obviously we've already had some snow. So I don't think it'll be a true La Nina winter. So overall, it's looking like it's going to probably wind up near to slightly below normal temperature-wise across the state. And so much colder than recent winters, but not as brutal as some of the winters were back in 2013 and 2014.
And just for those watching who may not know, how do you define a La Nina winter?
Yeah, that is based on the water in the Pacific Ocean near the equator. And the reason that's important, the Pacific Ocean covers more than half of the globe, and those equatorial waters are the most important part of the Pacific because that's where most of the sun's energy is absorbed. Water absorbs a lot of heat. So the amount of heat stored in that ocean really plays a role on the global weather patterns. And now we're looking at that water being a little colder than average. So it has implications downstream. If you think of the atmosphere as a river, it has implications downstream across North America. So it usually, looks like with La Nina winters, the northern tier tends to be colder than normal, southern tier warmer than normal, and that means very stormy weather. So lots of ups and downs, big swings likely this winter.
Okay, so we might get some really big changes in weather, like ups and downs.
Yeah. Yep, and with La Nina, it's not uncommon to have bitter cold followed by a quick warm up, followed by another big drop in temperatures. So it's very stormy and very busy for the meteorologist usually.
I'll be honest, I never like it when the temps change that drastically over a season. It drives me crazy, and I know, yeah. My little mini rant. I think if we can talk about like the accuracy, I know like in general, the further out you go, the more rougher the estimates and the predictions are. Can you talk a little bit about like, because I think people love to take it out on the meteorologist when they make a prediction and something gets wrong or things change, about, how you guys make predictions, and what viewers and what people watching the weather have to keep in mind when listening to the weather or watching weather reports.
Yeah, when we give the long-range winter forecast, we try to give general ideas of what we expect the winter to unfold on average. So averages are tough because the average is just an average of extremes. But what we look at is a number of things. A lot of times we try to compare what happened through the summer, what happened during hurricane season, and look at previous years that had similar weather to that. And, we look at what happened during those winters and factor that in. We look at, some other indications. There's always new research about long-range teleconnections, what's going on in the stratosphere, which is above where most of the weather happens, but it still has some implication on the weather. We do look at there's long-range computer models that forecast out several months. They tend to not do so well, so we take those with a grain of salt, use them as a tool, and try to pick some of the ideas that they give us. Like these computer models will predict La Nina and El Nino ocean conditions. So sometimes they struggle, sometimes they do well. So there's a factor of things, and a lot of it's pattern recognition, seeing patterns that have occurred in the past. And last but not least is the solar cycle, how many sunspots the sun has, and the sun's on a very stringent schedule. Every 11 years, there's a solar maximum of energy, and the sun seems to phase in and out of intensity. It's very, very minor overall, but it still plays a role in the weather when we see that solar cycle every 11 years.
Right, right. What if any advice do you have for people getting through the winter, especially in the midst of a big snowstorm or impending snowstorm? What do you guys at AccuWeather suggest for general people, other than maybe buying out all the bread and milk at the supermarket?
Yeah. Obviously, you got to have that bread and milk for the French toast, I guess. But overall, it's just to be prepared for it. Things come up with not much warning, so you want to be prepared. Have all your snow gear ready on hand now, all the snow pants for the kids, and you don't want to go out rushing to the store to buy a sled or something after it snows. Same with the snow shovel. If you travel a lot, you want to have a bit of a survival kit in your car. Have a shovel. A lot of people carry on kitty litter to get traction in case they get stuck. Blankets, warm clothes in the car. So you don't want to get, if you just run to the car without a jacket on thinking you're going to drive somewhere and you get stuck and you don't have a jacket, then you're in trouble. Right. So just basically to prepare ahead of time for the winter weather. Otherwise, just try to enjoy it. You live in Pennsylvania. We've had 4 wonderful seasons. Enjoy winter for what it's worth, because it only lasts so long.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Well, what are you looking forward to the snow, or are you hoping it stays away as much as possible this winter?
I love the snow. Now that I have kids, I have reason to love it even more. And it seems like if we don't have snow on the ground, it's muddy. So they track mud all through the house. We're outside regardless of the weather. So bring on the snow as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Oh, last question then: school day or 2-hour delay? Which do you prefer?
I don't know. I guess a 2-hour delay. So don't have to get the kids out the door quite so early in the morning.
There you go. Okay, well, thank you very much. We've been talking with Dave Samuhel of AccuWeather. Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you have weather-related questions, feel free to type them in the comments section here, or go to PennLive for the latest weather updates. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.